This is the S&P 500 Spider ETF SPY one-day reading for May 28, 2024. It's currently April 10th, 2024, 2:44 p.m. Eastern Time. SPY at the time of this reading, $513.88. That's USD. And the shuffle file that we're playing for you in the lower left corner was created on March 10th, 2024 at 7:48 p.m. Eastern Time. The overall theme of behavior for SPY on the 28th, a lot of price change and volatility. Generally speaking, when you see the Prince of Swords, it's overall movement in one direction. Which direction is to be determined, but in the midst of that overall direction, there's a lot of back and forth. So a lot of price change back and forth. Behavior on the high side, there's some sort of tricky chart behavior that's going to take place near the high for the day. Maybe multiple false tops or some sort of like indication that will go higher, but instead we turn around and we go lower. So be careful for that. Behavior around the lowest low for the day. Off of a prominent peak on a one-day chart, we should see a significant decline into the low. And it's a cross-reading correlation with the death card, which is the card for the 29th. My sense is that this full card here is probably a notable low. We're going to get into all that, the timing of the highs and the lows and the best trades in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to make sure that everybody's aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing, as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise or you can use YouTube Tips, and that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. All right, so in the pre-market, we have a rally out of a low. All right, so in the pre-market, we have a rally out of a low along a diagonal trend line. It ends with a fast sudden move higher just a little bit before the open, taking us into a prominent peak, and then we break down through the diagonal trend line with increasing volatility on the way down. Sharp drop at the open into probably a lowest low for the month thus far there in that first half hour. And then we should have some price swinging or volatility and a rally into key resistance between 10 and 11. That key resistance, that Princess of Swords resistance, we decline from that into a low between roughly 11 and 12. And then that's followed by an important range on a multi-day scale highlighted between 12 and 1, and then a rally between 1 and 2 that increases with momentum moving forward in time. It's a breakout of some kind. Doesn't look like the breakout holds. If we break out, go to a high, probably around 2 o'clock, and then there's a sharp decline to another day's low off of the high there in the last hour. Yeah, it looks like we end probably at some sort of low after making that high at 2 o'clock. And there's also a high and a low within close time proximity here around 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit after 11. What I'd want to do is close out of short positions at this full card, and then at that resistance, if I can time that resistance right, or that high, I should say around 11 o'clock, I would open up a short, close that short at a low when we're rotating sideways along key support at a range that's important on like a multi-day scale. That's where I would close out the short, and then I would open up along at the same point at that low, close when we revisit this price level from the resistance we fell from between 11 and 12, or probably closer to, let me back up. So we rally from this range midday, we rally increasing with momentum, breaking out through the resistance the price level of the resistance that we had fallen from around 11 o'clock into a low. And that's where I would exit out of the long for another day trade. That's how you can utilize the Princess of Swords as a price marker. And there's a death card as well right there. Yeah, so I would probably look to get into a short position for an overnight swing trade. If when we see a new high around 2 o'clock, or we see the same high around 2 o'clock, I'd look to open up a short position in anticipation of being able to close it here at the open, or after this like brief peak that's easily missed. We'll get into that in more detail when we get into the reading for the 29th. That's SPY for the 28th. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. We're counting on you here at Tarot for Traders and the Investor Profit. Not to mention people that regularly follow through, my angel investors that regularly follow through on the rule of karma, get sent a invite to our free Discord server where we're asking all sorts of questions and coming up with ideas together all throughout the week. They're like the inner circle of the Investor Profit. So if you want to be part of that, make sure to follow through on the rule of karma. The universe will consider you an angel investor, send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. I'll see you guys on the next one.